Good evening again from the steps of National City Christian Church here in downtown Washington, D.C. My name is Amy Butler, and it's an honor and pleasure tonight to be introducing our next speakers. We're here on the steps of National City in the midst of this election season as we send out sounds for justice, prayers for a just democracy, and commitment to count every vote, and for a safe and fair election today. You're joining a more prophetic vote as we ring out bells, shine a light, and pray prophecy together for a just democracy. In Coahoma County, Mississippi, volunteers are reporting that voters are wearing masks and there are no lines in that small community. In a county where 63% of the population are poor and low income and 78% are African American, this is a victory against voter suppression. Tonight it is my honor to introduce the Reverend Claudia de la Cruz, the People's Forum from New York City, who will be leading us in prayer, followed by Rabbi David Baum, Congregation Shari Kodesh, who will offer a reflection. We will conclude with the Sound for Justice from Omar Kareem at Soulful Muslims Community in Maryland. After we have a testimony from Angelica Salas, the director of the Campaign for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, and Dontavius Drake in Georgia. Welcome again this evening. We're glad you're here.
Dios de muchos nombres, te damos gracias por la oportunidad de sabernos presentes en este momento histórico tan importante para el desarrollo de la humanidad y del planeta. Te pedimos las fuerzas necesarias para ser co-creadores y co-creadoras contigo y asumir nuestra responsabilidad en la protección de la vida y la construcción de la paz con justicia en el aquí y en el ahora. Hello, everyone. I am Reverend Claudia de la Cruz from the Popular Education Project and the People's Forum in New York. We are just hours away from the election, and it is so important we have a deep understanding of the historic moment in which we are living. It is important to know deeply and speak loudly and articulate very clearly that we are living in unprecedented times, in a period of converging crisis, in a deep economic, political, social, cultural, and yes, spiritual crisis, in the midst of a global pandemic in which the wealthiest country in the world, the United States of America, has allowed thousands of people to die and millions to be infected. A state that has killed hundreds of young Black and brown people through police terror and has intentionally persecuted and attacked hundreds of thousands more for affirming that Black lives matter and demanding basic human rights. We're living in a time where the most basic human rights for women, for immigrants, and so many historically marginalized communities are being overturned or are under threat. Where economic war against sister nations continue to be fueled with money that should be utilized to provide all the people in this country what we need: healthcare, education, housing, just to name a few. These are decisive moments when people of faith are called to dig deeper and stand stronger on the moral grounds of those who came before us. As a Christian, I follow the dark-skinned, poor, homeless Palestinian Jew who was crucified for standing against imperial powers, and who resurrected on the third day to let the empire and his followers know that crucifixion is necessary, but it is not the last word. I believe in resurrection. I encourage us all to think what will take for the poor and dispossessed, the working class of this nation, to be victorious, to really win, to overcome the continuous crucifixion that the empire constantly imposes on all of us. I encourage us to think and reflect on the idea that our political work does not start or end in the polls. So to vote is important, is a key avenue that will only be effective if we dare to build a movement from the people, to the people, for the people. A movement strong enough to hold political and economic power. This requires our faith and our work. Our faith and belief in our potential to break with the elite concept of democracy and build a just democracy, a popular democracy with real participation, to work in building the people power and movement strong enough to make decisions, to participate. And to do so, we must occupy all spaces and utilize all tools available to us. So yes, let us vote all year round and every day with our choices, our organizing, our mobilizing, our preaching, our dancing, our studying revolution, our singing, our dancing. We need to use all we have and create more mediums in order to gain a real people's victory in this country. May we be able to capture the lessons and the hope of this moment. May we be able to shape this historic moment and build and strengthen a historic movement that will commit to and prevail in the long fight for systemic change. And the people said, Amen. Ashe, así sea.
My name is David Baum. I'm a rabbi serving our congregation in Boca Raton, Florida. My parents came to America as children from Eastern Europe, immigrants. Their parents, my grandparents, survivors of the Holocaust. They were welcomed into a country where they were finally treated equally, where their families could flourish. When my father came of age, he enlisted in the Air Force and served our country in wartime. My personal story is an American story. It's also part of the greater Jewish story. The Jewish community of the United States of America has flourished throughout this country's history because this country champions the idea that we are a government by the people, of the people, for the people. The Jewish tradition calls upon us to pursue justice and govern ourselves through fairness and the rule of law. My family instilled in us the belief that voting was not just a right, but an obligation. Our vote was the way that we make our voices heard, how we contribute to the betterment of all. The doors were open for us to be part of this great nation, and my family taught me that I must ensure that the doors are open to all of our citizens to make their voices heard through their votes. Judaism holds obligation and responsibilities to be sacred, holy. This is what the word mitzvah means, commandment, sacred obligation. Our vote is how we turn our beliefs and our rights into action. It's our duty. Our vote is a way for us to be part of this republic that has welcomed our people like no other country before. When we vote, we show the Jewish value of hakarat tov, recognizing the benefits afforded us and giving expression to our appreciation. Our vote is a tangible way that we show our gratitude to this country. Our vote is how we share our responsibilities with our fellow citizens. Together, we will build and continue to build for a bright future for all.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace to all. My name is Angelica Kareem and I am Omar Kareem's mother. Omar is 10 years old and today he's going to recite the Adhan, which is the Muslims' call to prayer. Omar is calling us all to prayer, to success, and he's calling for a just democracy for all of our children. He'll begin now.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan
My name's Angelica Salas, and I am the Executive Director of CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. I'm here this evening to talk to you about a vote based on faith. This election has been marked by political division unlike I've seen in my 25 years as a grassroots leader, and it has resulted in unprecedented attacks with words and with policies against the immigrants and the people of color who are my community. Given this bitter strife that grips our country now, some might expect that folks like me would throw up our hands in despair. But immigrants don't have that luxury, and people of color don't have that luxury. In moments like these, one thing that keeps us going is our faith. I was raised Catholic, and I take very seriously the lessons I learned in the church. Lessons like, render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another, do not oppress the widow, the orphan, the alien, or the poor, and do not devise evil in your hearts against one another. Or, truly I say to you, as I did to one of the least of my brethren, you did to me. Our church provided a way by which we connected with our values, and my siblings and I learned that these teachings were what would guide us in our lives. And certainly my faith in God and my gratitude for gifts of expression drives me to cast a vote in these elections. This country was built on a moral foundation, on a sense of what is right and wrong, on an honor system. This makes us different from old world countries with a history of might makes right. And so those who founded this country had faith in people. They had faith that the human will and the human will do the right thing, even if at times we struggle with the idea or we struggle with those actions. So let me tell you, faith does move immigrants. We have a deep, deep reserves of it. We have faith in a better future for our children, faith in a place that upholds our dignity and personhood, faith in a political system that is more than just a contest among the rich and the powerful for more money and for more power. And so this is a moment where I tap into my faith. And so faith is not about the sunny days, the best of days. Faith is about the most difficult of days. So faith is about right now. It's about continuing to believe in the goals that we have worked for decades, even if some of us won't see that realized. We believe not because we want to, though we do, but because we know it's the right thing to do. It's the future. And this future, this better future for all of us, is a reflection of God's will among human beings. I do believe that immigration reform and rebuilding human rights and stopping police brutality and building a government that makes room for all of us and protects all of us is part of God's plan. And I know no other way of ensuring that this happens than by voting. So tonight, I tell you that faith is what guides me, and I hope that faith will also guide you to take action on behalf of all the people who need you to take action on their behalf.
Greetings. My name is Dontavius Drake. I'm a person of faith, and I cast my vote in the state of Georgia. In 2020, I vote in solidarity with the 545 children who remain separated from their parents, and on behalf of all of the children and all of the parents who've been torn apart, subjected to horrible conditions, and locked in cages for the upholding of American nationalism and the false pretense of protecting our borders. I vote in hope for a future in which all of us who live on American soil, whether by birth or migration, can live lives of respect, of human dignity, and of opportunity.